This is how you create sinking funds for your budget without feeling overwhelmed. First, let me be clear on what a sinking fund is. So, this is a budget category that you add money to over the course of time so that you have that money saved up for when you actually need to spend it. You do not need to create separate bank accounts to hold your sinking funds. Like, absolutely everything in your budget can be all in one bank account, and then you use budget categories or like digital envelopes to keep all of your sinking funds and other budget categories separate. You'll want to make sure you're using a zero-based budget to do your sinking funds and your entire budget. I highly recommend the app YNAB. That's one option. I also have the Zero Debt Budget spreadsheet. It's available on my website. They are both zero-based budgets and they support sinking funds with digital envelopes. If you are new to sinking funds, you're probably feeling overwhelmed with like, how many do I need and which ones do they need to be and how many is the right number and what's too few, what's too much. So let's talk about it. So your essential sinking funds are going to be things that you like want to get started with no matter what. And everyone's number one priority here is their emergency fund. Oftentimes people who are just starting their budget and working to pay off debt, they may not have an emergency fund at all. I actually just posted a video recently about starting from zero with your emergency fund. So you can check that out. But basically, you want to save at least $1,000 to get started and then build up to $2,000. Now, just for context, know that like I am fully aware that $1,000 may sound in your head like I just said you need to save $1 million. Like for some people, based on where they are in their situation, that sounds like a lifetime away. But if you create a zero-based budget and you create a debt payoff plan and follow it, you will get closer and closer every month to saving up your emergency fund. Okay, so some other essential sinking funds to consider are taxes. Like if you have a tax bill that you pay every 6 months or quarterly or yearly, whatever it is, if you are required to pay taxes and it's always a struggle because like suddenly the bill comes due and then you don't have the money and you're freaking out, like this is something you need to be setting money aside for every month so that you have the amount saved up by the time the bill comes due. Annual subscriptions are similar. So if you pay for a Prime membership once a year, you want to set aside money every month so that the full amount is ready and waiting to pay the bill. So just to clarify, those are technically more like non-monthly bills, meaning it's a set amount of money, but it's not going to come out every single month. You're going to just need to save up for it. That's in contrast to if I jump down and say like auto maintenance. It's not like there's an annual amount of auto maintenance that you pay on a certain date. It's more like when your car breaks down, you're going to need money for it, right? So auto maintenance is a true sinking fund, whereas like taxes and annual subscriptions are more like non-monthly bills. But in a way, it doesn't matter. Like it's all together because these are the really important things that you need in your budget to get started so that you're not creating debt accidentally. Okay, so the other things here are I start off things like holiday gifts or vacation. Those are going to be things that like if you are the type of person who spends on them every year and you know you're going to spend on them, like you know you're going to buy Christmas gifts or you absolutely know you're going on vacation next year. You want to be setting money aside every month for this because if you don't, you're going to end up with like having to put everything on your credit card when the time comes. So to sum it up, this section is anything that you are required to pay, like a non-monthly bill, or anything that you just know you're going to be spending money on. And obviously, if you don't own a car and you take public transit, whatever it is, auto maintenance wouldn't really apply to you. But so you're going to be thinking about things in your life that you are required to pay or you just absolutely know you are going to be spending money on. All right, now let's talk about other sinking fund ideas. Now, this is just a short list of things to get you started because everybody's list is going to look unique to their life. For example, if you have pets that go to the vet, you probably need money for food for them, for maybe medication, money saved up for when they need to go to the vet for like a regular checkup or shots, or even when they, eat something they weren't supposed to eat and then you have an emergency vet bill. So this is a sinking fund. Then you might have something for home maintenance. So, like when you need to get something fixed, something goes wrong, the dishwasher breaks, whatever it is, you have a fund for repairs. Then separately, there's something like a home appliance replacement fund. So, like, what happens when the fridge breaks, or what happens when the furnace goes? Like, how are you planning on paying for those? And most people's approach is just like, well, I mean, I'm gonna, take out financing through the hardware store or whatever it is. And that's, lots of people do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you're trying to get ahead to have the cash for things so that you're not taking on more debt, this is one way to do it. So think about, like, are there any appliances in your home that are going to like kick the bucket soonest, and which ones should you start saving for right away? Now, another big one that basically applies to everybody these days is new technology. Like, your laptop is not going to last forever. And sure, you can take out financing for it to get a new one, but a lot of times it's better, it feels way better in the moment to have the cash up front to pay most of it or all of it. So think about all the technology you use and when you're going to need to replace it, or if you pay for technology for your kids or anybody else in your household. Like, think about the life cycle of those things. Okay, another example is medical expenses. Now, everybody's situation is going to look different depending on if you have health insurance and what your health insurance plan looks like, and if you have a deductible. If you have a deductible, like, ideally you would be setting aside money every month to be able to pay for the deductible the following year when it comes due. Okay. Copays, like, if you're ideally you'd want to set aside money every month for this. Even if it's just like a copay for when you're sick, like you don't know when you're going to be sick, right? So you're setting up a fund for this. Anything related to kids, and this is just an example. Kids summer camps, right? So anything big that catches you off guard where you're like, oh my God, now we have got this huge bill and now we got to figure out how to pay for it. Like, if your kids do anything like field trips or sports or activities or anything that's got like a tuition thing or just whatever it is, kids are expensive. And so think ahead to all those times where you're like, oh my God, now how are we going to pay for this, right? Another thing, this just actually popped up in my email tonight. I saw that concert tickets are going on pre-sale for next summer for something I want to go to. And I actually have a concert ticket fund, which is fairly new for me, actually. And I'm excited that I have $110 set aside in my concert fund, which means that I'm not starting at zero when I go to buy concert tickets. So if you're the type of person that pays for like concert tickets or any type of entertainment or outings or events, you might want to have a fund for that where you're setting aside, whether it's $10, $20, $50, whatever it is, every month, so that when the time comes to like book flights or tickets or whatever it is, you have some money for it. And then finally, you've got bigger ones like a new car fund. This is something where if you know you're going to need to replace your car, it's time to start saving for it sooner rather than later. All right, if you've got questions or if you'd like to add any of your favorite sinking fund ideas to the comments below, please go for it.